Jason Kidd says there's no pressure on Kristaps Porzingis, but Kristaps Porzingis tells me why he put on some weight to get bigger and stronger for this upcoming NBA season. This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube, and you can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. The Dallas Mavericks' new season is underway as practice has already gotten started, and the Dallas Mavericks concluded media day. Kristaps Porzingis, Luka Doncic, Jason Kidd, and a whole host of others talk to the media as they get ready for the new upcoming NBA season. The Dallas Mavericks last year, who finished 42 and 35th in the Western Conference, have a lot of expectations coming into this year, and I had an opportunity to sit down with a lot of these Mavericks players to get their thoughts on not only what happened at the end of last year, but their excitement in coming into this season. And that was the theme of Mavs Media Day and the theme of the comments from players from Kristaps Porzingis to Luka Doncic to new head coach Jason Kidd. There's a new excitement and quote-unquote energy in the air, and these players appear energetic and enthusiastic about the opportunity to have a fresh start under a new coaching staff, given the expectations that they have coming into this upcoming season. I asked Jason Kidd specifically about Kristaps Porzingis, whom he has talked about this summer, wanting to get him back to his days in New York when he was an all-star and when the unicorn was born. Here's what Jason Kidd told me when I asked him, what does he mean by wanting to get Kristaps Porzingis back to his New York days? Take a listen.
Yeah, I think watching KP when he was in New York, the unicorn was born. And everybody was, and especially me, because I was in Milwaukee, we were scared of him because of the things that he could do. He could put it on the floor, he can get to the rim, he could shoot it over anybody that was going to guard him. And unfortunately, he tore his ACL against the Bucks, and so he's always had to rehab. And unfortunately, as a professional, you're always rehabbing, you never can grow or your game will never expand. And so he's just been hovering, I think, here in the first summer. Now he's healthy. It wasn't that long ago he was an all-star. And so for me and for his teammates and our staff, we want him to be himself. There is no pressure. He just has to be a basketball player and rely on his strengths. There is no bad shot. And so, I really believe that he's going to have a great year.
So Jason Kidd saying, look, there's no pressure on Kristaps Porzingis. We want him to be himself, and I expect him to have a great year, which is interesting because all the talk that I and we have had throughout this summer and what it means for the Mavericks to be a true contender this upcoming season, I have said and will continue to say that it hinges on Kristaps Porzingis' ability to get back to the form that he showed in flashes when he first joined the Dallas Mavericks and when he was an all-star with the New York Knicks. Physically, will his body allow himself to do that? That's a question that only Kristaps Porzingis can answer. That's why I asked him that question. It appeared as we were talking to Porzingis that your man put on a little bit of weight. So I asked him, Kristaps, did you put on a little bit of weight this summer, and what was your feelings after last year when it was reported that you actually wanted out of Dallas? Here's what Kristaps Porzingis has to say, and take a look at his new physique, if you will.
I put on a little weight. I also focused a lot on not lifting a lot of weights, but also putting the basketball work. So I don't feel rusty or I don't feel too stiff out there, which was a big thing for me, signing here. I did a lot of physical work, but I felt like basketball-wise, I was rusty too, from being out 18 months, I was rusty too. So that kind of stuck with me for a while, and I was kind of like, I need to work more on my game and not as much in the weight room, but at the end, it's extremely important for me to stay healthy and to feel good on the floor, that I have to put on some weight and have to feel strong in those situations. And so I did a lot of that, and I'm feeling really good physically. And then what else did you ask? Sorry.
At the end of this last season, what were your feelings about wanting to be with this team? Were there any feelings that you wanted to move on, given what your role was this last year before the coaching change ultimately took place?
Yeah. I wasn't happy, of course, after how it ended. But I understood that it's just a part of the journey, and you have ups and downs, and it's I didn't want to feel like the victim in any sense. I was like, no, this okay, it happened. I did what I was supposed to, and we move forward. And here we are, about to start another season. It feels good. It feels good. It feels right, and I'm doing everything I can from my side to be correct, to be in shape, and to be the best player I can be for this team.
So Kristaps Porzingis saying, yeah, I did put on some weight. This is a guy that Jason Kidd has said will start the season playing at the 4 spot, which is interesting because that means you will see Kristaps Porzingis in more post-up situations, shooting more mid-range jump shots, which throughout his career hasn't been terribly efficient at doing. So can Jason Kidd get him to be the kind of mid-range shooter that will allow him to be effective in post-up situations? And more importantly, can Kristaps Porzingis take advantage of smaller guys guarding him at the 4 position, where we saw the Clippers and other teams dare Kristaps Porzingis to try and beat them on the post when they had smaller guys on him, and he simply couldn't do it. Jason Kidd has talked about Kristaps Porzingis putting the ball on the deck and getting to the rim and doing those kinds of things from an athletic standpoint. Kristaps Porzingis saying that, look, I wasn't happy at the end of the year when I was checking the wind and looking like a guy that was just a decoy sitting out there at the three-point line not being utilized. And you could tell that the energy, the excitement, and the emotion for Kristaps Porzingis is there. He looks like a man who's motivated to prove and show why he was a former All-Star with the New York Knicks, which is good if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan, because I've said this and I will continue to say it again. Even if you're a detractor of Kristaps Porzingis, you want him to get back to the kind of form that he has shown in flashes with the Dallas Mavericks to ultimately get the Mavericks where they want to go, whether that be they keep him and he becomes part of a championship roster, or he becomes a piece that you move in order to get other pieces in to help build and create your championship roster. Either way, it's going to hinge on the Unicorn being a Unicorn 2.0 version, if you will, to give the Mavericks that best opportunity to succeed in making a deep run in a wide-open Western Conference this season. For Porzingis, it's not necessarily about proving doubters wrong. It's about proving to himself that he is the kind of player that can be effective alongside Luka Doncic. You remember last year that Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis were the most effective pick-and-roll duo in all of the NBA, even though at times it felt like their fit wasn't a great one. Luka Doncic, who had a terrific summer with Slovenia leading into a 4th-place finish in the Olympics, the summer of Luka, where he was able to get his 5-year, $207 million contract extension that will kick in at the end of this upcoming year, talked a lot about chemistry and wanting to ensure that the chemistry of this team continues to grow. I asked Luka Doncic about that very chemistry and why he wants to help facilitate that for this team going into this upcoming year. Here is what Luka Doncic told me on that front.
I think we'll be good. We gotta maybe hang out with each other. More. That's what we're doing with the Australian national team. Basically, we're together all the time. I mean, I know it was different circumstances because we were in the hotel all the time, but I think this year we're better.
So Luka Doncic saying, look, we want to build that chemistry a lot like how we did with the Slovenian national team, being able to hang out and be able to be together to develop and grow that continuity and chemistry that we need in order to move forward, which is, it makes sense. You want this team with some new parts and a Reggie Bullock and a Sterling Brown and others to be able to assimilate into this team very quickly, develop a trust and a communication level that will allow them to translate that on the floor each and every night, But more importantly, Luka Doncic as a leader will continue to take the next step going into this upcoming year where he's looking for his third consecutive first-team All-NBA selection and is a front runner for this year's NBA MVP. He will go, the Mavericks will, as far as Luka Doncic is able to take them. But if Kristaps Porzingis can get back to some of what he was in New York and become a more efficient mid-range shooter, but more importantly, be a good defender and being able to protect the rim and shot block and alter shots, especially when he's playing at the 5 position, now we're talking about something here. Because if you're going to have KP in a lineup where he's the 4, Maxi Kleber is the 5, or Dwight Powell is the 5, Dwight Powell with his screen and roll game and able to get to the rim, Maxi Kleber, a fully healthy Maxi Kleber with his defensive prowess, you're going to be able to create some mismatch at times on the floor. I personally prefer Kristaps Porzingis playing the 5, but if the versatility and, more importantly, the efficiency of his mid-range game is there and gives him the opportunity to be a little bit more of a playmaker, okay, that will be interesting to see if Kristaps Porzingis can develop some of those things by being able to be a guy that not only hits mid-range shots, also is able to take guys off the dribble, but utilize mismatches in order to make sure that he's punishing smaller defenders in the post when he's going to be able to, because Jason Kidd is going to have Kristaps Porzingis much more in the post, and Kristaps Porzingis appears to be welcoming that particular situation, taking advantage of his size, not just with his ability to stretch the floor from the 3-point line. Obviously, for guys like Tim Hardaway Jr., for Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, contributors on this team, they will take their lead and their mantra from Jason Kidd and, more importantly, from Luka Doncic, who now has to prove himself not only as one of the best players in the world, but an evolving leader, as Jason Kidd called him, a young Picasso, to utilize all of his paints, but more importantly, trust his teammates. If Luka Doncic can develop that trust in his teammates as he continues to mature and grow, and Kristaps Porzingis gets back to some of what he was when he first got here to the Mavericks, especially offensively, if he's going to be playing the 4, but more importantly on the defensive end, this is a team that Tim Hardaway said could be scary. That is the expectation that Mavericks fans are going to have for this team this upcoming season. Can the Mavericks put it together and put themselves in a position where they are competing for a top 4 slot in the Western Conference? Because if they can, Jason Kidd will be in the Coach of the Year running, Luka Doncic will be an MVP candidate, and Kristaps Porzingis will prove to those who may doubt him that he is indeed a true Robin to Luka Doncic's Batman. All of that will be time and told as the season goes on, but we are ready to go for the Dallas Mavericks this upcoming season. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for daily updates on this Mavs team, as I will be on the beat for this Mavs team all season long. Again, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. And you can catch me on 105 through the Fan every single weekend on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers. It's been another episode of The Gray Area. I'll talk to you later. Peace.